Hi folks, this is an Aries Amoeba KW01. Now what is that? First of all, you look at this whole package and you think to yourself, what is going on here? You've got, of course, the receiver of an AR, pretty standard. Then you go across and you've got, hang on, you got the fore end here of an MP5K. Okay. Then you've got a retractable PDW stock that's just been slapped on the end there. Stock or arm brace? More on that later, which is even weirder. Then HK sights, what's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. It, as I said before, is an Aries Amoeba PDW style gun, where I feel like they were at the factory and they thought to themselves, well, what have we got left over? What can we shove together to make a unique looking gun? Okay, well, we've got this new PDW stock. Okay, slap it on. We've got MP5K fronts. Slap that on. And originally, believe it or not, this actually came with MP7 style sights. So they just slapped those on as well. It had a different grip originally as well, which I'll get into, which is very interesting. And the ugliest flash hider you've ever seen in your life. This is the flash hider that it originally came with. Now, I don't know about you, but it's very, very odd looking. You've got a standard flash hider on the inside there, and then this weird cage on top of it. Some people might think this is cool. That's great. Me, I knew as soon as I was getting this gun, this was being removed, and remove it I did and replace it with this Nuprol sound amplifier, which gives it a bit of a more interesting look in my opinion. Another thing I changed was this grip here. Originally it comes with a grip like that, very slim, very unique, and you know, credit where credit's due. You never see a pistol grip on an AEG at least look that small and compact that could fit a standard size motor. So Aries, you know, you try something different, that's really good. In the end though, I did replace it for that one because I did find it a little bit more comfortable for my hands there. Okay, one thing I didn't change and that I really quite like is this stock / arm brace here. What the hell is an arm brace? Well, I'll tell you, in the civilian world, in the USA, if you were to buy something like this, you aren't allowed legally to have a stock on the weapon. It would be classed as a pistol in America, and they would make you have an item like this, which is not a stock, but an arm brace. And oddly enough, Aries decided to replicate that in the airsoft world, even though we don't need arm braces in airsoft, obviously. But there it is. So a bit of a bizarre thing to come into existence, but I actually quite like it. It's quite thick and chunky. But it feels quite good to shoulder. And once it's retracted, there is a little bit of play, but it's quite solid. No issues there. So again, something a bit different, which I quite like. Also, how many guns could you stand up on its end like that? Look, no hands. So, bit of a party trick. So, overall, a bit of a Frankenstein gun out of the factory, and I did make it even weirder by putting this flashlight, which kind of makes it look like a camcorder from 1998 with like a boom mic sticking out. But as I was going to run this CQB, I knew I had to have a flashlight on it. So what I did there was just mount it on the top, because obviously on the side here you've got no mounting options whatsoever. So adapt, overcome and all that. Managed to get a off-angle mount. There you go. Which doesn't disrupt the sight picture and gives it a quite unique look. Of course, usually I'd run a pressure pad at the top, not an option for this one. So again, just a bit of cheap elastic there with the pressure pad wire ran through there, which works quite well. When I got this gun, I'm not going to lie to you, I was a bit disappointed. Not because of its looks. I knew it was a bit fugly and I knew I wanted to change a few things. I'm talking about the build. This gun is almost entirely polymer. Now, I don't mind polymer guns. My ARP9, for example, polymer gun, really solid build, not an issue with that. But the polymer that they've used for these guns, it's like, it's hard to describe. It's like really scratchy kind of feeling polymer. It kind of feels like a wheelie bin, or maybe like the interior of a Peugeot 206 or something like that. It just does not feel premium. I don't know if they've changed the polymer recently on Amoeba guns, or if it's always been like this, but yeah, not a fan of that. The build quality also rears its ugly head. I'm just going to take that. Oops, I'll put that on like that. When it comes to the selector switch, pretty standard affair. Safe, semi, full auto. But do you notice something? Not much of a click going on there. It's very loose. And believe me, I've taken this apart and tightened this as much as I could. But it just feels so loose and flimsy. And even after one game, I'm finding myself being really careful with that selector switch. It's a real shame because it does hinder my enjoyment of using this. Not only is it cheap feeling plastic, the seams on it, look at that. It is clear as day. Now that's me shaving off all the worst bits of flash, whatnot, from the molds. But as you can see, it's just not ready for prime time, I don't think. You can see these very visible molds on here. Maybe I'm being nitpicky. Maybe I've been spoilt by other guns. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. One thing I do like, which is a bit incidental, you've got this enlarged mag catch here. Sorry, mag release here, which feels quite nice. But unfortunately, it is hindered by the full polymer body. If you're using polymer mags, for example, and you just want to slot a mag in, it just feels... The only word I can think of that comes to mind, it feels chewy. Inserting a plastic mag into this plastic mag well. It's very disappointing. And you know what? Aries, you can do better. This is an Aries pistol grip, and the plastic on this, the polymer I should say, feels much better than the polymer body. So, a bit disappointing. Now, earlier on, I said that I really like the stock. I like the look of the stock. I like the feel of the stock. But, as a battery placement, my God, it is very, very limited. So if I take this off and just show you what I mean. Battery needs to go in there. I don't know if you can see that. Move this wire out the way. Yeah, you haven't got much room to play with whatsoever. Now, you're also looking at that and thinking, bloody hell, that's frayed. That's actually after I taped up all of this wire just to give it some sort of thicker shielding, thicker coating, because you're jamming a battery into there, you're twisting wires, you're dealing with the threads on the side there. Things get chewed up on here really badly. And if you watched my other video on another gun, you'll notice that I don't have the best luck when it comes to small battery spaces and wires. But you can fit an 11.1 LiPo in, just about. And you should. Yeah, having a bit of an issue here. See, not even a battery in it, and I'm having an issue. Maybe it's just because I'm on camera. There we go. So yes, you can fit an 11.1 battery in. I use this one for this gun because it's the smallest 11.1 that I could find. A little baby thing. And you really should use an 11-1 because Aries themselves with this Amoeba gearbox actually recommend that you use 11-1 batteries. Now there aren't many guns that say that. There aren't many guns that want you to use those higher voltage batteries and are happy for you to go nuts on it. So props to Aries. And that's what I want to get onto now is, even though outwardly it's really fugly, even though outwardly it feels like a toy, I still bloody love it. Why? That gearbox. It all changed for me when I actually played with it for the first time. Unfortunately, as I said before, I actually bought this as a CQB gun, of course, because I had my ARP9, but I wanted something that was basically an ARP9 that took 5.56 magazines. Now, if only there was some sort of gun that, like an ARP that took 5.56 magazines, but I can't think of any gun that's like that. So I bought this one instead. And during this horrible year of 2020, my local site, which is a CQB site, actually closed down. So I didn't get much use out of this until I went on to an outdoor field and I used this outdoors. Now, I didn't expect to get any sort of decent range out of it or any sort of decent performance, but I was very pleasantly surprised. Even though when you first get it, the barrel goes from there to about there. That's it. This thing was shooting as good as most other field guns that day. It was incredible. For the size of it, how tiny it was, how compact it is. It was holding its own against other longer guns. And my God, I was so pleased with it. I just could not believe it. That's considering as well that you're only shooting about 280 to 300 FPS out of this. I was so amazed, so pleased. So, although outwardly it's ugly, that's subjective. Outwardly it feels cheap. The barrel is only a little tiny thing. The performance is fantastic. And I'm not just talking about the range or the accuracy. The trigger response out of one of these Aries Amoebas is superb. It feels, I don't know if this will come up on camera, but I'm just gonna, everyone's going to go quiet now, and we're going to have an AMSAR, if that's what you call it. And I wonder if you can hear that? Yep. Each shot is like a mouse click. It feels so responsive. It can shoot so rapidly, especially using an 11-1 battery such as this one. It's an absolute dream to shoot. So, a bit of a mixed bag, but I've got to say, hats off to Aries. Although they failed in some ways, they really do make up with it with that phenomenal gearbox inside one of these, which makes them worth every single penny.